Hello my friends, welcome to this video. Before we start, I want to note something that is important. So if you go back to your GitHub repository, we see that we have pushed the .env file with our informations, and by mistake we have exposed our private or sensitive informations out the internet because this is a public repo and anyone can access this. So that's a problem. We don't want that. We don't want the .env. So you gotta open that .env. I've opened it and it actually cleared all the information that was here. So simply you can go and just click on edit this file and just simply all the information you have here, just select all and just delete it and then click on commit changes, and that will just simply update your repository and remove everything you had there. Okay, so that's something very important to do. And after that, I want you to go back, because we want to avoid this in future. Just go back and look for the .git ignore file. So simply here we ignore all the files that we don't want to push to our GitHub repository. Look for the local env file, simply right to go and add the .env here. Okay, so now the .env file will not be pushed next time or not be updated in our GitHub repository. That's the first thing. The second thing now is to actually configure Prisma with our application and create a basic schema for our user model and actually test this. Okay, so pretty simple. What we have to do is open our terminal. So I've done this before, so let me just clear this. So what we have to do right now is actually install Prisma. So add Prisma. This one is going to be a dev dependency, and then simply it's going to be Prisma. So this is as a dev dependency. So after doing this, now we need to install the Prisma client. So we're going to go and then add Prisma, and therefore /client like this. And now the Prisma client is up and right. Close the application, stop the server, and now we have to initialize a schema for Prisma. Okay, so what we have to do is just go and make Prisma and bit init, and that will initialize a schema Prisma for us. So let me clear this right here. And if you go back to your files, in the main routes in Prisma, we have a schema.prisma right here. Okay, so this is your schema file. You can learn more about success rate and remove this. So this is what we have, the generator client, and this is the data source DB. By default, we have it as a PostgreSQL. So we don't want PostgreSQL right here. We use MySQL. So I'm going to change that to MySQL. And then for URL, it takes the database URL from the env. So if you go back to the env, it's going to add this by default. Let me clear this. Let's edit this. But we have right now the database URL. So this is the database URL the chaos. Okay, you want to update that to our one. So I'm just going to update this. So by default, it's going to be MySQL. And then if you remember I've explained to you how to set up your good environment. We have set up the MySQL server and we have set up everything that you will see right here. So we have by default MySQL. And then the user that we are using is the root. And then the password is the same password as we set in the previous video. So whatever your password set that, you're going to use that right here. And then it's going to be our localhost and the port is 3306. And then this is the name of the database that we have created on that video. Okay. If you picked a different name in that video, simply choose that or go back again, open your MySQL and create that. Okay, if you didn't create it and try to access, it's not going to create it, but it's just not going to allow you to connect to your database. And it's going to say that the database doesn't exist and you have to create that. So make sure that you create this database with this name. Okay, so that's the other thing that we have to do. So that's very important. Now we have to go back to our schema Prisma, and actually I want to add another thing right here. So let me just make sure we add the data, right here, where there's a relational mode, and this simply going to make it Prisma. And we go right here, and now we're going to create our user model right here. So by default, any Prisma model that you will create, it needs some ID. So that's ID right here is going to be a string. Okay, that's very important. And then we're going to make sure that we add the annotation as ID. So the Prisma model, the Prisma schema understand that this is actually the ID of this model, okay? And then by default, it needs to be something that generated by default, or you add it by yourself, but we're gonna make sure it's a UUID. It's a function that generates a certain type of ID in a string format, okay? And then after that, we're just gonna have a name, which is gonna be a string. And then after that, we're gonna have an email, which is also going to be a string, and the email should be unique. Okay, we're not going to allow multiple users with the same email, so we're going to make sure that this is unique. And then after that, we're going to have a picture. So all this information are going to be coming from the cloak provider. So picture is going to be a string, and then it could be longer, so it's not going to be a normal string, it could be a normal string. So we can use db right here, and then .text, okay? So because it's going to be a number format of the text. And then the role right here is going to be a role, okay, and by default is going to be user. So let's create this role. So user is going to be all uppercase. So we're gonna go to Word right here and just go enum and then role. Okay, we're gonna create that. So simply we're gonna allow the role either to be user. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to my keyboard. User, or actually it's gonna be admin or seller. Okay, so there are the three options you can allow depending on your use case for the application. You can rename it to something else. As application is going to take the normal user, which is the user that just buys stuff, etc. on the website and uses it. We have the admin who controls the admin side of things, and there is the seller who creates like stores, etc. and manage the product. So this is for the role. After that, we just simply need two very important properties that exist in every single model, which is the created ads, okay, which is going to be date time, okay, and by default is going to be the current time right now. But when we start actually adding certain information into the database, we might not use that. Sometimes we use we pass the created as date, we pass it as the date that exists in the server .time. So that's the proper date, which is different sometimes than the actual one in the database. I know there's some confusion, but we will look at this later. So what we have to do right now is go and use the updated ads right here. It's also going to be at datetime, and by default, we actually don't mean the default right now. We just have to notate it as this is the updated one. So whenever we make a change, it's going to also update this one accordingly. So this is for the user model right here. So to apply this settings to our application, what you have to do is use one and then Prisma and then generate. Okay, generate like this. So when you do that, now this model is recognized in the application, but that's the application side of things. So it's recognized by our application, but is it actually in the database? No, we didn't push these changes that we have right now. We didn't create the user model actually in our database. What I mean by that, if I actually, let me just give me a second. If I open my current prompt and then open my WSL, so give me a second. Okay, so let me just go and show you this right here. So let me just show you this. Okay, so I've shown you how to access our database like this. Okay, I'm going to show you this and also show you the other way around. But actually, let me just do it the other way around. So what you have to do is open a new terminal, and what you have to do is go run and Prisma and the studio, and that would open the interface that I was talking on that video. So as you can see right now, this been created right here. So you can see we have the user right here. Okay, so but it's empty. We have the properties that we have added, but this is on the application side. This is not on the database, because simply we have generated the Prisma schema, but only on the database side. So now if I go back right here, which was I want to see you on the actual database, if I zoomed in right now and try to access my database, so it's going to be sudo and then my iscorn and then dash user, which is going to be the root, and then provide the password like this. It's going to ask us for the password. Let me actually copy the password. It's a bit complex, so let me just take that. I'm doing it a bit too much to explain it to you, so just bear with me. So we have done that, and it says wrong. It seems wrong, so I don't know what. Oh, sorry, I forgot to enter the password of the system first, then the password of the MySQL. Sorry, my bad. So now we are inside MySQL, so we can show the databases that we have right here. Okay, so we have the databases right now. As you can see, this is the database that we have created, which is Multivendor Ecommerce. So now if I want to use that and then choose it, and let's say I want to describe, so describe user, okay, the user model that we have created. Sorry, let's do that again. As you can see right now, it says table user doesn't exist because it's actually not been created. They may say, oh, it's user capital. No, it doesn't exist yet. But you will see when we add now the other command, it will be actually accessible by our database, and we can actually see it. So how we do that? It's very simple. You just have to go back. Let me just go back to my application. It's a very simple command. What you have to do is go farm and then Prisma and then db and push. Okay, db and push. And that's we push the changes that we have, not only to application, but also directly out to the database. And as you can read right now, your database is now in sync with your Prisma schema. So now if I go back now and try to actually get the user, you see right now, I actually get the informations of the user that I have there. So that's quite cool, okay? So now also if I want to go back, right, say close that and run this again, the Prisma Studio, if I go back to my application and actually let me I don't want to open this on Google, so I open user right now. I will not get the error that I was getting, okay? So now everything is cool, and you can actually create a record if you want to do it this way. It will create the UID by default, the created at by now default of this ad is the actual time. So yeah, everything is working fine. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just showing you that everything has been worked out now, and we have done the first step, okay? So that's the first step. Yeah, that's cool. And now let's actually go to the next step and add on top of this and actually make this work for our advantage. So yeah, see you in the next video as usual.